In this video, we're going to start talking about the second tool we'll be introducing in our JavaScript projects. This is Webpack. Webpack is an awesome tool that opens up a world of new features for us to use. So what we're going to do in this video is go through a quick visualization to talk about exactly how Webpack fits into the bigger picture. Then, in the next couple of videos, we'll actually go through the process of installing it, setting it up, and using it in our boilerplate project. Let's start with our current workflow. We have a file called index.js, which contains the code that we actually write and edit in Visual Studio Code. We then pass that code through Babel, which converts the modern JavaScript into JavaScript that can be executed from pretty much anywhere. And Babel spits out a file. This is the file that actually runs in the browser. So this is the setup that we currently have and are currently using. When we introduce Webpack, it's going to be very similar with a slight tweak. So we are still going to have some file that contains the code we write, and we are still going to pass it through some tool, and in the end of the day, we are going to get a single file back, which contains all of the code that needs to run in the browser. The difference is that Webpack can do way more than Babel. That's not to say Babel is a bad tool. Webpack is just a more flexible tool, which allows us to do a few interesting things, including running Babel. So with Webpack, we're going to continue to run Babel as we already have set up, but we're also going to get access to some awesome stuff. And one thing I want to place an emphasis on in this section is the JavaScript modules system. When we use the module system, we get a brand new way to structure and set up our JavaScript code. I actually want to spend the second part of this video moving through a quick visualization that shows us how the modules system is going to change our project structure. So right here, we have the before Webpack example and the after Webpack example. We're currently living in the before Webpack example, so what I have here should look pretty familiar. We start off with a public directory, and in there we have our assets, one of those being any HTML pages we might need. In this case, I'm just going to stick with one, index.html. We also have those three JavaScript files. We have UUID, we have the note functions and note app file, and all three of these needed to be loaded in a specific order. So we have three script tags. If this file needs something from this file, which it does, this file needs to be loaded first. So we have 1, 2, and 3, ensuring that both of these files get access to the UUID v4 function defined in here. Now, all of this creates a few problems. First up, we have three script tags. That means we're making three requests from the browser to the server for a new JavaScript file. Making those requests and then waiting for a response takes time. So we want to minimize the number of requests, getting it down to just one, a single file that contains everything. The other problem is that because the files need to be loaded in a specific order, it's really hard to share code between those files. We either end up sharing too much, or we share things but in the wrong order. So if this file needs to share something with this file, it actually can't because this one is 3 and this one is 2. And we might accidentally expose something from Notes functions that we didn't really want Notes app to have access to. This can create problems when we're defining the same variable name across our files and running into issues. So we're going to be able to leave all of this in the past after we introduce Webpack. With Webpack, our setup is going to look a bit different. The first thing we'll notice is that we have three directories. We have a public folder still, and this is where our index.html file is going to live. And then we also have a source folder and a node modules folder. The source folder is going to contain all of the JavaScript code that we write. Node modules is going to contain all of the third-party application code we need. So we still have the same three files, they're just structured a bit differently. We have the app file and the functions file in the source directory, and UUID is going to live in node modules. We'll talk about how to set all of this up in the next several videos. In this one, we're just visualizing how this would work. Now from here, what's going to happen? Well, our files still need to communicate. So one of these two files might need access to UUID, and the Notes app file might need access to something from Notes functions. With the module system in place, any file can try to import something from another file, and any given file can export something specific. So this file could export a function called getNotes or saveNotes. This file could then import that function and actually use it where needed. So we would have some arrows like this showing that Notes app can access things from the other files in a controlled and structured way. The files specify what they want to expose. This file specifies what it actually needs. Now, how does all this work? Well, it all works because of Webpack. Webpack is going to take all of our assets, it's going to bundle them up into a single file called bundle.js, and that is going to give us access to this modules system, which is what we're going to explore in the next video. In the end of the day, all we need to do is load in a single script with a single script tag. So with Webpack, we're going to be able to reduce the number of script tags, making our application faster. We're also going to be able to reduce the weird ordering in order to share code between our files. With the new import-export system, we're going to have a much better way to structure things. I'm really excited to get into the weeds with Webpack and start installing it and setting it up. So let's go ahead and jump into the next video where we're going to do exactly that.